Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's practice on neck, shoulders, and upper back. Karina here, glad to have you. Okay, first thing that I'm going to do today to start accessing those neck muscles that tend to be a little tense or stressed is to use a block. So if you have a thick block, a thick book, that can be a replacement. What I'm going to do, and I'm going to come a little closer so you can see it better, is that I'm going to have my block in this medium height, what we call it. This will be the lowest, this is the medium. And I'm going to be using this long border to touch the back of my skull, which will be at the very end of the skull, what we call the occipital ridge, where you feel like that bony area. Now, to make that match the back of my neck, I'm going to tilt my block when I come down. I'm going to show you how, but I'm going to be tilting my block backwards. So that's what you're going to hear when I say those words, okay? So I'm going to be sitting on my mat, and I'm going to use that block or thick book in the medium height. I'm going to start coming down onto my back. And like I said, I'm going to be tilting my block backwards. That will be towards the props that I have there behind me. And I'm just going to lift my head and put that border that I showed you right at the base of my skull. Okay, I need to hold the block because I have it in a little bit of a diagonal, right? So if not, it's possibly it will fall. So what I'm doing is just gently holding my block. I feel it touching that occipital ridge or the back of the skull. And then as I feel that, the first thing that I'm going to do is to make sure that my pelvis is grounded. And if your hips are not touching the floor or your mat, then I suggest adding a folded blanket so you have extra support and you don't get any pain in your lower back. Okay, so I have my head there now with the block. I'm holding it. And I'm going to start by breathing through the nose 2 times. If possible, you breathe in and out through the nose, and you try and bring awareness into the breath. That's just to passively start opening those muscles in the back of the neck. So breathing in and out. And if you cannot breathe through the nose because you're congested, of course, you breathe through the mouth, and you try to keep an even type of breathing cycle, because breathing is very, very beneficial, right? Of course, breathing is beneficial, but the way that we breathe can change our brain patterns. Okay, after we did that breathing, I'm going to start creating a motion with my head, like when we say no. So I'm going to go over and lean with my head to the right, then slowly coming back to center, over to my left, and back to center. My block is hard. You possibly saw it right in the computer. So that can be a little intense in the back of the head. You can always add a towel, right, to pad your prop and make it a little less intense, right? So I'm going again side to side a couple of times. We're going to try and repeat this a few times. And if you feel like you need to stop or pause somewhere and breathe a little deeper because you're feeling a little bit of that tension or tingling or something going on there, and you feel like it would be beneficial for you to stay there a little longer, then you do so. I'm adding one more, going side to side. Good. And then I'm coming back to center, and you can choose to this time put the block like not flat, right? Because it's in the medium height, but more like vertical, touching down, or you can keep it in that diagonal that you had before, like I had, and just try and do a gentle movement now saying yes. So I'm going to bring the chin towards the chest, and then go a little further back. It won't go too far because you have the block, right? So I'm just pressing the back of my skull into the block and lifting the chin a little to tone the front muscles right in the neck and the throat. And again, I'm going down towards the chest and up towards the ceiling. And I'm adding one more down and up. Then I'm coming back towards the neutral. I'm going to slowly take that block out to the side, and I'm going to roll so I can press up into a seat. So now I'm going to show you what's coming. If you have a foam roller, you're going to use the foam roller with me. I'm going to show you what you're going to be doing. If you do not have the foam roller, but you have the blocks, you're going to use 2 blocks. I'm going to show you how in a second. If you do not have the blocks, you can represent a foam roller by rolling a blanket and making it in this shape and just putting it there in the same place where I'm going to put the foam roller, okay? So I'm going to show this version first. I'm sitting in front pretty much the same as I had with the block. This time, what I'm going to do is come down and put the base of my shoulder blades on top of that foam roller. If you have a foam roller at home, chances are that maybe you've done this in the past, right? So you know more or less the trick. But anyways, in this shape, I want again my hips to be grounded. So if your hips are not touching the floor, then again, you add some padding with a pillow or a blanket, okay? After that, I'm going to send my arms up towards the skies. I'm going to interlace my fingers, and then I'm going to press my palms up towards the skies. Just take a breath here, pushing through your palms. And when the exhalation is happening, bring those palms behind the head to support the scalp. Good. After that, I'm letting my head drop into my hands, and I'm going to let my torso come over the foam roller. My head is heavy, and if you feel like this is too intense for your body, then you can add a block or a pillow behind your head, or of course, lift yourself a little higher and stay a little higher, right? Because this is really poking into the back ribs, creating a lot of opening in the chest, also reversing the rounding that we have in the upper back when we are in the computer too much. Okay, so you stay there and you breathe through the nose if you can for several cycles. If you are not using a roll, if you are using the rolled blanket, same thing. You put that rolled blanket at the base of your shoulder blades and you're breathing the same. Maybe your head will be closer to the floor because it's a little smaller, or right, like less thick than a foam roller. It's totally fine. If you are using blocks, then I would put both blocks in the flat position, one next to the other. They are horizontal. And if the blocks are hard like mine, then you put a towel on top or something to pad them. Same idea. I'm removing my hair and I'm putting the base of my shoulder blades right on top of the base of the blocks. Then I'm interlacing fingers, putting the hands behind the head and going over the blocks. Okay, so for the people for whoever has the blocks there, they are of course less mobile than a foam roller, right? So you're not going to be able to move too much around. But what I want you to do after a little bit of being there is to twist a little bit with your trunk and chest over to the right, not with the hips. My hips are steady, and then to the left. Okay, so you're going to be doing a few of those. I'm going to profit of my foam roller, so I'm going to do the same thing there. Once you took a few breaths, then you're taking a little bit of a twist. So I'm going over to my right, always trying to breathe in a soft, tender, sweet manner. Remember what I said, that helps a lot our nervous system besides helping our physical body. Good, so I'm going sideways a couple of times. And the next addition that I'm going to offer, it's mainly for the people who have the foam roller, because it's giving us the opportunity to move around a little more. So I'm going to press into my feet firmly. I'm going to lift my pelvis a little bit, and then I'm going to roll up and down. Not too far. I want to go really towards the top of my shoulder blades and then towards the base of the shoulder blades. Okay, so that's it. Going up and down and up and down. And of course, if you get tired of having your hips above the floor, right, then you bring them down and you rest. Awesome. Let's go for a couple more. Many times we have these props at home, but we don't really use them much. So I bring them into the practice because it's beneficial and useful because we have them there hanging. Okay, then I'm putting my hips down. I'm releasing my arms. You have a few options. You can put your arms down, hands, right? Hands, elbows, whatever they are. Bring the chin towards the chest and push yourself up. If this is not possible from this position, you can, of course, turn over to the side and then push yourself up. Good, we did that. Take a deep breath. And now I'm going to change the game a little. Now we are all going to use blocks or thick books. I'm going to put them like what I instructed for the people who had the blocks before. So they are flat, they are one next to the other, so they are horizontal in proportion with the long of the mat, right? And this time, instead of putting the base of my shoulder blades on top of the blocks, I'm going to go different, and I'm going to put the base of my shoulder blades at the very top of the blocks. That will change the game because now my blocks will be underneath my mid trunk, not behind the chest, but a little lower. And it's going to open that area, which is right in between the chest and the pelvis, a little more, which is an area that we don't usually open much, okay? So again, if you need to put a towel there or a blanket, you put it. And I'm going, like I said, a little higher now. So the base of my shoulder blades, this time I can feel it touching the first border of my blocks. It feels a little funny because we don't usually put something poking there, but this is what I'm doing. Again, if you want to add a blanket under the pelvis, you add the blanket. And then again, I'm going to lace my fingers, bring the hands behind the head and open the elbows and let my torso go over that support or the props and rest. With this idea that I'm doing now, the head will come closer to the floor because we are going a little higher, right? But for some of us, depending on the length of your neck, you may not touch down. So again, if you need a pillow or a blanket, you can always add it, okay? I'm giving a lot of options because each of us have a different body length type and et cetera, so we may need different things. Good, take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. And now I'm going to add one extra thing and you're going to choose if that fits your body or not. If you have lower back issues going on, I would say stay as we are now. If you are okay and there's no lower back pain of any kind, you can extend both legs, press through your heels and make your legs toned. What do I mean by that? I'm hugging the muscles of my legs into the bones. And by that, again, I mean that the top of my legs are hugging down into the bones and the underside of my legs are hugging up also into the bone. So sometimes we call that hugging the muscles into the midline of the leg, okay? Both legs. So breathe here through the nose. Nice, one more. Try and add to this a little bit of the contraction of the shoulder blade muscles into one another. So it's like the shoulder blades are moving more into your spine and you're lifting the chest a little more. Nice, then I'm bending both knees, putting my feet down. And again, if you want to use a little bit more of your core, push your head up a little, bringing the chin into the chest. And then use your hands to come up. If you need to roll over, you roll over. Awesome. Okay, I keep using my blocks because I have a lot of tricks for the neck and the upper back. So now I'm going to use those blocks again, but this time, look, I'm changing the game. I'm putting them in the medium height and I'm putting them in a way that it looks a little bit like a train. And they are both this time in the vertical line, meaning that they are along the line of my mat, right? You can see them there. Besides that, I'm going to also use my strap. So if you have a strap or a scarf, that will be super useful. I did not do any loops with my strap, so it's completely open. And what I'm going to do here is to put one half of my strap to the left and one half of my strap to the right, just sitting in front of my blocks. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. So strap in front and the blocks alongside the long line of the mat. After I have that, I'm sitting in front again. And this time, the very base of my block, the medium, right? But the very base, it's gonna go again into the base of my shoulder blade. But because I'm doing a vertical line, it's gonna go alongside the spine, right? In the sense that it's right at the center of my shoulder blades. Good, look at your belt so you know where it is, so you can catch it when I tell you. And I'm bringing again the upper back thoracic spine into the top of that first block. The second block is my support for my head. So it's like my pillow. And for some of us to find that, we need to move the block a little bit further back or further forward, depending on the length of your torso. Okay, so I'm there and I have a good support for the head and for the upper back. Again, if your blocks are hard, it may feel a little pokey, so you can pad the blocks, okay? So I'm there, and before I do anything else, I keep my feet on the ground, my knees are bent, and I'm going to start contracting again my shoulder blade muscles into the block, right? So they are coming into the midline or the center, and I'm also pushing with my shoulder blade muscles into the block so I can lift the chest a little more. This is super useful for neck, upper back, and chest. Then I'm gonna look over to my right and go and catch my belt on the right side with my right palm underneath the belt. So it's facing up towards the skies. And then I'm gonna go to the left and do the same thing. So I'm grabbing my belt from underneath with both hands. My palms are pointing or facing up. And once I have that, I'm going to start sliding my hands in my through my belt to extend my arms overhead. You see what I'm doing? So it looks like I'm doing a V letter with my arms, right? Or a Y with my body. And I'm pulling or pushing my strap behind me. I'm pressing into my blocks with my shoulder blade muscles. And I'm trying to bring those shoulder blade muscles also towards one another behind the chest, okay? Once you're here, breathe through the nose. Try and soften the face. Sometimes we tense the eye side or around the eyes or the eyelids. Sometimes we tense in the jawline. So see if you can soften there and keep breathing a little more. Good. Then if you can, and that works for your body, again, this will bring more of a back bend into your body in general. So if your lower back is sensitive, don't do this. But if you are okay, you can extend both your legs and you can push through the heels and again, lift through the chest, contract those shoulder blade muscles into your blocks and keep the chin off the chest as you push your strap behind you. Let's take 2 more breaths. Nice. Then I'm going to slowly release the arms back down. I'm going to rebend my knees so I can put my feet on the mat. And I'm going to push myself back up. Again, optional to roll onto the side and come up to a seat. Good job. Okay, now I'm taking that belt to the side and I'm going to also take my blocks to the side so we can do something a little different. You can use a blanket to sit on. I'm going to cross my legs for a moment here. Any way that you want to cross your legs works. If you need to open and send the legs out wide, that's fine too. Sitting tall, we are going to inhale. I'm going to say it before I do it. I'm going to inhale and I'm going to send my chin up towards the ceiling. That can create a little bit of tension in the back of the neck. So what we are going to do is that when we do that, we don't send the head super far back. And besides that, we open the mouth instead of keeping it closed. That will help with the opening in the muscles, okay? So I'm inhaling and going very gently. And then with the exhale, I'm coming back down and I'm letting my chin come towards the chest. Good, let's go for 3 more. Inhaling. Exhale. 2 more. Last one. Good. Inhaling, I'm coming back to center. I'm going to turn my palms to face out. I'm extending through the arms and I'm connecting the shoulder blades into one another again. Good. Then let's go from there, sending the arms parallel to the floor. Super. Stretch through the fingertips, lift through the crown of the head. Inhale, send the arms up over the head. Interlace the fingers and press your palms up towards the skies. In this one, I'm letting my shoulders come up towards my ears. I'm pushing through the hands. I'm keeping my head in line with my spine, and I'm going to try and push my arms a little further back, almost like if I wanted to pass them behind my ears without sending the head forward, okay? So my chin is off the chest. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, release the arms. Good. Bring your right hand on top of your right shoulder, and we're going to do 3 circles. My left arm is just resting. You can put it on your lap, okay? I'm going to do 1 circle coming towards the front of my chest, up and back and down. That's 1. 2 and 3. My head is above my spine. Right now I'm reversing back, up, and forward and down for 1, 2, and 3. Beautiful. Release it, shake it a little, and we switch sides. Left hand on top of the shoulder. I'm going for 3, coming forward, up, side, and down. I'm not going fast because the slower I go, the more I hydrate the shoulder joint, and it's going to help me with also opening the upper back. And then after I did my 3rd, I'm going to reverse it. I'm trying to keep my breath steady and gentle. Good. And then I'm releasing and shaking a little bit from here. Good. We have a little bit of time. I'm going to add another exercise here with the block. So I'm going to extend the legs, shake them a little here, and then come up towards standing. Okay, cool. I have my block. It can be a book again. I'm going to stand with my feet parallel, hip distance apart. And the short side of my block is going to come to the right side of my face, like the temple area. I'm holding it with my right hand, okay? This is also good for the neck and the upper back. My left hand, I'm going to put it in front of my ribs, so it's below my chest, so I can sense the movement in that area, okay? What I'm gonna do is to inhale and go towards my right and look up towards the skies. My hips are steady, so I'm trying to keep them neutral. With the exhale, I'm bringing myself back to center and turning to the left and looking down behind me. So that's the movement, okay? And we go again. Inhaling, I'm going up towards the ceiling in my right. And then with the exhale, I'm going down towards the floor on the left. Good, 2 more. Inhaling. I didn't say, but I think it's pretty obvious that my head is pushing into the block and the block is pushing into the head, right? So then I'm creating that resistance between the two, which also fires and tones the muscles in the side of the neck. Good. I'm back to center. Then I'm releasing. Feel a little bit there if there's tingling or the sensation of tensing, which is actually normal because we are conditioning those muscles, okay? And I'm going to change for my second side. I'm staying steady, pressing into my heels, spreading my toes. My pelvis is neutral, meaning that the tailbone is moving down. And now the short side of my block is coming to the left side of my head or temple, and I'm pressing my head into the block and the block into the head. Ready? Right hand in front of the ribs, and this time I'm starting going towards the left first. So I'm going up towards the ceiling as I push, face into block, block into face. And then with the exhale, I'm coming back down towards the right side on my floor, right towards the floor. And again, inhaling, exhaling. 2 more. Last one. I'm coming back to center, releasing and shaking a little bit there. Beautiful. I'm going to use the block a little more. We still have a few minutes. Now I'm going to use the long side, right, in the medium height, the lowest height, but the long side of the block. I'm going to hold it with both my hands and I'm going to put it right behind my skull. You see how I'm putting it right behind, right? So now with my elbows bent and my hands, of course, holding the block, tailbone moving down, low belly tone, I'm lifting through the spine and I'm going to push the head into the block and the block into the head. This is it for now, okay? So lengthen the back of the neck. I want to just look forward so you can see, but you see how my elbows are bent, my head is pushing into the block into the head, and the back of my neck is long, okay? I'm going to keep the back of my neck long, my tailbone moving down and my belly tone to lift a little bit through the chest, to lift the chin up off the chest and go a little further back. Now, this movement that I'm doing is together with pushing the block into the head and the head into the block and starting to contract my shoulder blade muscles like we did when we were down and we were trying to push into the block, remember? So imagine you have those shoulder blades coming towards the block in between and bring the head a little bit up and you go a little bit back. Then I'm coming back up. Bring the block up and in front of you. Good, take a breath. And I'm going to use the same block, the same way, that's short, I mean long, but flat side in front of my forehead. And now holding the block, and again, keeping my body steady in the sense of pushing through the heels, toning the hips, tailbone down, and my pelvis in neutral. I'm going to press with my forehead into the block and the block into the forehead. Now you see that I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, right? I'm exaggerating, but what I'm trying to do is create that resistance in between, right between the block and my head, and that will again tone and condition the neck muscles, okay? So instead of like being soft and stretchy, we are trying to make them more toned and strong, okay? Because that also helps for neck pain. Breathing here. And then I'm releasing and shaking a little. Awesome. Okay, shake it a little bit here. Good, a little bit more. I'm going to go sideways. I'm going to send both arms up, inhaling. Turn the palms out, exhale, bring them down. Again, inhaling. Turn the palms out, exhale. One more, inhale. Turn the palms out, exhale. Good. Last one, I'm taking my blocks again. This time I'm going to need both of them and I'm going to just hold them both with my hands. I'm going sideways so you can see again the movement. I'm going to be bending my knees and I'm going to move those blocks in this way, like this. Inhaling and then going over to the other side, exhaling, okay? 1 and 2. 1 and 2. This is good for shoulder joints, upper back and neck. And 2, again. 2 more each side. 1, 2, 1 and 2, and then come back to center, release the blocks, shake it a little bit here. Good, good, good. Shake here and move the arms up, 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 up. And then again, down, 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 down. Awesome. Good. Shake it a little bit here again through the legs. So we wake up. Good. And then with the feet together, we're going to inhale, send the arms up and look up. Tone your belly and lengthen the front of your spine. Exhale, bending the knees, take a forward fold, release the neck there. We are creating a stretch here, more passive. If you need to have your knees bent, keep them bent, it's totally fine. But release the hold of the neck and the head and bring your low belly in to help you drop a little more. Let's take 2 breaths and we are almost done. This counts officially as an inversion because the head is below the heart. So it's also a good way to pump blood and change a little bit the movement and the energy inside. Now push through your heels firmly, bring your hands to your hips, bring the elbows up towards the skies and also lift your chin off the chest. After you have that, bring the shoulder blades towards one another, push firmly again through the feet and lift yourself up all the way to standing. I'm coming here this way, shake it a little bit again. This is the end of our session in neck and shoulders today, changing it up a little bit with the props so you feel a little bit of release and also we tone the muscles. Thank you so much for joining this practice. I hope to see you next week for another set of practice for a different part of the body. Namaste, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.